Hello everyone, we are actually in chapter 11, and in this chapter we are actually going to learn about how to publish and promote our website. So actually, after your website has been created and it has been validated and also tested, the next step is actually to publish it on the web server. So you need to publish it on the web server so that your customers or users, they can access it. And then you can actually, after you publish it on the web server, then you can promote your website so that those users that need to get to your website, they can do that. So in this chapter, we're going to learn how to publish and promote our website. Also, you will learn about the meta tags to be able to add a description to a web page and be able to connect to the remote server and publish your website. So some of the objective of this chapter is to talk about the search engines, explain the concept of SEO or search engine optimization, create description, meta tags, also describe a domain name, also describe what is a top level domain name. Also, we talk about the role of the web hosting services, as well as FTP file transfer protocol, and how to connect to a remote server. Also, how to publish your site with an FTP client, and also we will talk about advertising and marketing your website, and register your URL with the search engine as well. So now let's look at what are the search engines actually. So how can we, what do we define as search engines? Most of you know about it. You know that they are being used to find specific businesses or some content on the website. Basically, those search engines are online tools that search for the website based on those keywords that you enter in. Search engines, they use robots. Sometimes we call them bots or spiders, which are basically the bots are the programs that can run automatic tasks on the internet. So as the robots browse the web, they actually index it and organize their finding, which then they store it into a database. So that's how the robots work. The robots actually, they can view and also store web page titles, meta tag keywords and description, and as well as heading elements content. So that's why there are certain rules that you want to apply to your website. The titles that you want to make sure that your web page has a content title, it has the meta tag keywords, it has the description, and also you're using the headings. There are a lot of search engines out there. The popular ones, of course, as you know, is Google. Also Bing, Ask, and Yahoo are also other web search engines that a lot of people use. But Google, of course, is the most popular one that you use. So now let's talk about the concept of search engine optimization, which is a process of improving the amount of traffic to your website. So how it does that, it improves the ranking of the site in search engine result pages. So each time your web page link appear in the SERP of a related query, it can create what's called an impression. So the more impression you have in the SERP, the higher chances of user viewing your website. So a lot of businesses kind of know the art of search engine optimization, and they have really boosted a lot of traffic to their website. So you need to implement this concept to your website. So once you basically develop your website, which you already kind of did for all these things that you have learned so far, you need to optimize your website. You need to kind of edit the content and the HTML code in the web page in order to increase the keywords and making sure that you remove any barriers to the page indexing function of the search engines as well. So some of the tasks that are involved in SEO is, first, you need to brainstorm about the keywords that can describe your business. Maybe you need to write them down. Then you need to use these keywords with your domain name, such as the page titles, headings, elements, and meta tag. Then you research the competitors and also write down their keywords, what kind of keywords they are using. So for like this fitness club that we are doing, we might actually brainstorm the keywords for fitness, gym, nutrition, maybe personal training, free trials, free classes, and so on. Then your business should examine its page titles, heading elements, and as well as any other meta tags that's out there. You can also optimize the images by using keywords within the alt text of the images, because the robot cannot read that image. So that's why you need to put some keyword in the alt element of your picture as well. The next thing that we are going to talk about is about meta tags. The meta name derived from the word metadata, which is metadata is information about the data. So you can actually, this statement shows the meta tag that declares the character encoding as UTF-8. So the UTF is the unique transformation format, which is a compressed format that lets the computer to display and manipulate the text. When the browser encounters this meta tag, it can display the web page properly based on the UTF-8 decoding in the tag. So UTF-8 is the preferred encoding standard for web pages. A lot of people use this meta tag. The meta tag also lets you to specify the author, description, and keywords for the web page through the use of the name and content attributes. The content attribute, the name attribute actually identifies the type of information in the content attribute. And the content attribute identifies some words or phrases that are required to appear as a metadata. So in here, this is an example of a description meta tag. So the meta tag is description. And then you have the content, then you put your content in there, the goals of that fitness club, for example. You could have had the name as an author, and then you put the name of the author in there as well. So the description is what some of the search engines below your web pages. So based on the description. So this is very useful. So in the description meta tag, the description is the value for the name attribute. The value of the content attribute is the descriptive sentence about, the program, the goal of your website. So that's why in here you can see that, these are the meta tag description that the search engine is pulling. So how do we add this to our web page? So to help the search engine find and index our website, we can add a description meta tag to the home, maybe about us, and some contact us pages. So it's very important to add those in those places that you can describe what your website is doing. So in here we have of course the meta tag, and then we have the name, which is, we put the description, we just put the content attribute, and then we put the content in there. So you can put that in your index.html and basically put this in there. Also, I mentioned to you, you need to modify the alt text on a web page. So you can actually go to your image tag and find that image and then put the ALT in there and modify those texts that kind of describe your web page. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is about how to publish your website. So actually, when you finish developing your website, the next step is actually to register a domain name. So you need to think about your web hosting strategy. And then you need to publish your site to make it available for everyone to see it. So let's start with the domain name. So what's a domain name? A domain name is a server name portion of a URL. You can use the domain name of the server on which you can publish your web pages together with the path to your specific pages for your web page address. So you should also select and register a domain name such as it represents your business, basically. The .com, the top level domain name, that's what we call it, the TLD, is a preferred name for the businesses. And an open TLD means that any person or entity can register with that domain name. So you need to find if that space or that domain name exists. So then you can actually pick that. So you need to also be careful in order to select your domain name. You need to maybe brainstorm about it and make a list of some of the keywords and phrases that kind of describe your business. So the example that we have in the book, the Forward Fitness, so they maybe put a lot of thought into that so that they can put these together and make it like a domain name, maybe forwardfitnessclub.com or something like that. So if you want to find out if that domain name exists or not, you can actually go to internet.net, so www.internet.net, and you can actually see if your domain name is existing or not in there. The internet website is a registered service mark of the U.S. Department of Commerce, and the internet is operated by the Internet Corporation for Assigned Name and Numbers to provide the information to the public regarding the Internet Domain Name Registration Services, or we call it ICANN. ICANN stands for Internet Corporation for Assigned Name and Numbers. So once you purchase a domain name, and every domain name has an expiration date. You want to make sure that you renew the domain name before it expires, because maybe somebody else might take that. So these are basically the list of common TLDs and their purpose. So the .com is for commercial, .biz, again, a lot of people now use this because a lot of .com is taken. So it's for business or commercial, .net for network-related domain name, .co, again, a lot of apps, startup applications or startup apps, they are using the .co. And then .org is nonprofit organization, .edu educational institution, .gov is for government, .mil for military, and .me is for personal website. So this is very good kind of a thing to look at. The next step is web hosting. So now you need to find a hosting service. One popular option is to use a company that charges for web hosting services. There are a lot of companies that are providing web hosting services, and a lot of them charge you some kind of a fee. Again, some are free web hosting, but they want to advertise on your website. Bluehost is one company, GoDaddy is another company. There are a lot of companies out there that, you know, they provide the hosting services for you. Another way is to use the internet service provider or the ISP that you use to connect the hosting as your website. So the ISP, sometimes they can provide the space for their client to host their website. And if you register your own domain name, you can have your ISP set up a virtual domain or a shared web hosting on their server with your new domain name. Your ISP server may be able to set up to allocate hosting services and bandwidth to more than one website by using a virtual domain. And setting up and maintaining one's own web server is also, you can do that as well. So you have to have a lot of known about a lot of technology to set it up and keep it running. So whether you choose the ISP to host your website or web hosting service, or you can set up your own web server, it's your choice basically. You know that IIS also is a web hosting service that we do it on our computer, and we can have, we can actually test it on our own server, and then maybe we can set up a virtual server as well. But if we need to know a little bit more about the technology. So how do we select the web hosting service? There are some questions that maybe if you can answer them, it might help you to select the best web hosting service. So what's the total cost? How much space you need? How fast is the connection? How much total bandwidth transfer is available? Is the technical support provided? And are they tracking services provider? So after you select your web hosting service, you need to transfer your file to the host servers. So when a website is published, the website files are being transferred to that web servers. One way to upload those files on the web server is use something that's called a File Transfer Protocol Client, or FTP. So FTP is a software that is used to transfer files from one computer to the server over the internet. So this protocol needs to be there in order for your files to be transferred to the server. Again, you can find some FTP clients that are free and some to purchase. FileZilla is actually a free FTP option that you can download it from filezilla.org. So FileZilla FTP client is available for several operating system platforms such as Mac, Windows, and Linux. So it is very good to use that because it's available for a lot of them and it's free. So this is kind of how it could look like. So to publish your local files to the server, you can select the local folders and files in the local side file list, and then you can drag them to the remote side file list or select the transfer on the menu button. Another free FTP client is a Smart FTP that's also available on smartftp.com. That's mostly for Windows platform. Also, Qt FTP is available. That's also, I think it has a trial option that you can pay. So there are a lot of them out there, but FileZilla is very good to do that. So an FTP client is required to upload and publish the website file and folder unless a direct access to the web hosting is available, to the server is available. Sometimes they might provide that. If there is no preferred FTP client, then you can download one and transfer it yourself. So when you are going to transfer your file, you need to know those pieces of information that you need to publish on your website, including a URL or domain name, an FTP username and password, and a port number. So if you secure the web hosting service provider, you need to contact them to get these information: the URL, domain name for sure, the FTP username and password, and the port number. So that's what you can do. Before a website can be published, you can use an FTP client to connect to a remote web servers. So you can connect like that. And to upload your file and folder, as I mentioned, you actually get all your files, the CSS file, and then all of the folders that you have, and then you drag it here to the remote side. The last thing that you need to do after you did that, so to make sure that everything is kind of working, you need to make sure that you test it. So after you publish it, you need to open your website on a browser and test all of the links. So open your browser, type the URL in the address bar to display the web page, tap or click the label in the web page that contains the link to display the pages to verify that your content is there and the links are working. So after your website is published, now the most important part is to make it known to the people. So that's very important to market your website. So a website can be promoted and marketed to reach the target audience by adding the URL for one's website to your business card, maybe to the company's brochure, your email and everything, and advertise the URL maybe in the newsletters or maybe some articles you want to publish it. And word of mouth also is important. And find and get listed on targeted directories and search engines for one's industry. That's also very important. And also you can buy banner ads to promote your website. You can also use news group in your industry to actually market that as well. Also, you can negotiate with reciprocal links in which you agree to link to a website if they agree to link your website. So you can promote their website, they can promote your website. So that's another way to market your website. Other ways is to register with the search engines. So after you finish entering your meta tag and you published it and kind of market your website, you need to register your website with the two most search engine, Google and Yahoo. That's very important. Of course, you can register your website with other search engines that specialize in your specific area as well. But these two is a must. So you can go to the google.com and go to Webmasters tool and sign into your Google account. And then enter your URL in the search console text box. You can go to page 521 of your web page and kind of do that. 521 on your book and follow some basic instruction of how to do it. So after registering your website, you can use several tools from Google to find out about the user activities, and you can also analyze the users click from the Google search as well. So also you need to validate the HTML files that are working. So every time a new web page is created, you can run it through the W3C editors, which you have been doing, to check the documents for some errors. So as you know, validation is a very effective tool of troubleshooting during the development process, and it can add value to the work that you are actually doing. So that's it for this chapter. So in this chapter, you are actually, you have to take a quiz, you need to participate in an online discussion, and you have an assignment that you need to do based on your previous website that you were creating for yourself. So if you have any question, please let me know. I also put some tips in this chapter, so make sure to look at some of the tips that I put on the CMS on our on the Blackboard Collaborate page. So hopefully you have a great time. Take care. Bye bye. What?